I think your boy's back live. I think your boy's back live. What's up, everybody? It's been a minute since I've been back. Hopefully everything's up going well. Hopefully things are going well with you all. I need to check and at least make sure my stream is streaming before I go. I could hear something. Turn it off. Sorry, I'm hearing myself. Let me just make sure I'm streaming for real. And then we'll get on to the getting on. Yep, yeah, it shows that I'm live. It shows your boy live right now. Let me just... Yeah, I can hear something. All right. So, why am I here? You know I'm always coming with something. You know what I mean? You know your boy's always coming with something. I just, had to jump in, start back streaming, and start talking about topics. I really had made a transition from one place to another and had to disassemble my whole setup and get it all set back up. And part of that is excuses, as well as why I haven't been out there like I should, talking about these issues. But your boy's here, your boy Chef Bay, and today we're just gonna get into the topic because I didn't really do much rehearsing, looking up. It's kind of been on my mind for a while, and then I heard it on Space here recently, a couple different spaces here recently that Tariq was on, and I was like, man, I've had this argument said many times, and I was going back and forth with somebody on Twitter or X about this as well, and it's the whole per capita argument, the whole argument of black people per capita commit more murders than white people per capita. So that means to them, he would say that he's more than likely to get killed by a black person in a black area than in a white area. And that didn't make sense to me because, like I told him, this was my response. I was like, wait a minute. In raw numbers, you all likely kill more people than we do. The stats may say it differently, but we'll get into some other reasons why that may be. But, I was saying, let's say you walk into let's take it away from murder. Let's say I walk into a room full of the pedophile statistics, right? Let's say there's 100,000 white pedophiles, but there's only 10,000 black pedophiles, which is probably high. So there's 10%. But you would say, well, out of that 100,000 white pedophiles, there's 200 million of the white people. So the percentage of people committing crimes isn't as abundant as the 10,000 black people committing pedophilia in a 40 million in a 40 million type population or whatever. So in a population of 40 million, in a population of 40 million, 10,000 is a lot. So they would say, well, hey, per capita, black people commit more pedophilia than white people, so I'm more likely to have something done to me, get molested around you all. But I would say, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Raw numbers wise, it doesn't make sense. I said, excuse me, if I'm in a city, and in that city, there's 100,000 white pedophiles and 10,000 black pedophiles, who's likely gonna molest me? Is it going to be somebody out of the 100,000 or somebody out of the 10,000? Or is it likely going to be somebody out of the 10,000 just because there's a shorter amount of them? So per capita, they're likely to be pedophiles, I guess. And so you're going to try to use that to say that in this city that I'm in, if I'm in an area of just people, period, I'm going to likely be molested, or if I'm around them, I'm likely to be molested. No, I'm likely going to be molested by the 100,000 of y'all that are out there. And that's kind of the basis for this live stream, is to kind of put a different spin on this whole per capita thing, because it's mostly used. It could be used in some some good cases. Let's say you're saying, hey, everybody in this country is doing well, but in certain areas per capita, there are. I'm coming in kind of hot. In certain areas per capita, why am I coming in so hot? Oh, okay. In certain areas per capita, sorry y'all. In certain areas per capita, you might utilize that to say, look, we send out resources to all of these areas, and it seems like in this one particular area they're having a problem with getting their education. They're having a problem with education in this particular area, and so you might look at that area and you say, man, look, and are they really doing that bad? Well, there's 20,000 kids there, and 5,000 are not doing that great. And you'd be like, well, there's 5,000 kids over here in this other school district that has 200,000 kids, and they're doing better. And there's 5,000 over there that are not as great. And so there's also 5,000 here. So you can say, hey, well, y'all both have 5,000, but y'all have a whole lot more people. So that means a lot more resources and information and things working on that side of the town. And so per capita, we can look at this area and say, hey, we may need to put a little bit of extra emphasis on this. So I'm not saying that per capita, the statistic itself can't be used, but it can be used for propaganda purposes to skew the numbers to try to put black people in a bad light and to try to prop up white people and white supremacy. So let's take a look at the 2019 crime statistics. Okay, this is what we're going to get into some raw numbers. Let me pull my computer a little closer to me. We're going to get into some raw numbers, blow this up here a little bit. So as you can see, this is the total arrest right here, right? So you have a total population of arrest and we're going to start there first. The total amount of arrest is 6.8 million. About 7 million people get arrested for some type of crime. Let's look up what the current U.S. population number. Currently, there's 331 million people in the United States. Out of that, 7 million people get arrested, right? Let's see how many black people are in the United States. Black Americans in the U.S. numbers. Let's just say population, whatever. 47.9 million. So we're gonna go back here, right? So let's deal with this. And let me pull up one other number. White population, U.S. All right, 251 million. So we got the numbers out the way, some of the raw numbers. So now let's look back at this. 6.8 million out of 331 million, about 7 million of those. So 10% of the population doing crime out of 331 million would be 330,000. No. Let me I don't have my phone with me. Let me do, okay, I know how to do 10%. Y'all gonna look at me and that make it seem like, look, my brain's just a little fried right now. Okay, look, 10% of 3 million is 300,000. 10% of 331 million is, oh, you just take that off, 33 million. I think I said it already. So 33 million, but there's 7 million people. So half of 33 million, about 16 million. So 5%, half of 5%, 2.5%. At 15 would be 7. So about, okay, so we got down to the number. About 2.5% of the crime is done, about 2.5% of people are arrested each year. Or you can say in 2019, 2.5% of the people had got arrested. Now, I'm not naive to say that out of those arrests, that's the only amount of crimes that went on. No, there's obviously a lot of burglaries, robberies, and things that go on and rapes and everything else that happen that doesn't get reported, obviously, right? But what we're looking at is just these raw numbers. So about 2.5% of the population gets arrested. Okay, 1.8 million are black. Let's say 2 million blacks out of we have a population of 47 million. So to have 10% of that is 4 million. Let's say 48, 10% of 48 million would be, let's just say 50 million blacks. Keep the numbers on the straight. So that would be five. Half of that would be 2.5 million. That would be 5%. So we're looking at, if you half that again or something, you're going to get around to the 1.8 million of people who are doing crime. So you'd say black people have about 3 to 4% of the population that gets arrested for crimes. Now that doesn't say how many people are actually incarcerated, and let me look that up. Total number incarcerated U.S. There's 1.23 million people incarcerated. Let's say total number incarcerated U.S. by race. Okay. Let's see. I don't want no sponsored. Here we go. And this of Federal Bureau of Prisons. 57% of the people in there are white, which is 88,000. And that doesn't sound right because we just saw that the total number incarcerated is 1.2 million. And this is barely showing a little over 100,000. I mean, a little over 120, 150, 200,000. Well, see how sometimes these statistics can be a little tricky. Pew Research, let's do a quick skim. Do you got a quick, something quick? Black people most likely to be in jail for more than 3 months. Yeah, they leave us in there longer. They let them white folks out. I want to see some total number incarcerated rates by race and sex. Incarceration rates, here's that 1 in 35. I just like to see, I don't like to do 5, 1 in 6, this and that. I like to see the raw numbers because you're trying to paint a picture when you start doing this other shit. Raw numbers tells me who's really doing what. You know, if I own a company and I got a little, somebody wants to say, well, you made about this point, that on to this point. No, how much did we bring in total? Then we can break it down and question other little things. But okay, so I'm not really finding. You know, I may have to come back to that because I don't want to spend too much the gap between the number of blacks and whites. Let's say racial ethnic gap streams, blacks 529. Total number of inmates. Okay, I'm gonna have to get back to that. But you get what I'm getting to a point with all of this. Okay, so let's just get back to it. 2.5, 3 to 4% black people in America commit crimes out of our particular population. You got white people over here. You got about almost 5 million. You know, if I rounded ours up, I'm gonna round theirs up. 5 million white people that commit crimes or get arrested for the crimes. Okay, so if you got 5 million white people out of, let's say, 251 million white people, so 10% would be 25. Half of that would be 12.5%. That's 5%. Half of 5%, 2.5. Half of 12.5% would be somewhere around 6 million. So they're around 2.3%. So black people in our particular race and population, we have about a 3 to 4% of us that get arrested for crimes. White people have about 2 to 3-ish% because they have a larger population. It's kind of drowning it out, but still 2 to 3%. But it's very close. So whether you want to come up with some per capita bullshit altogether, it's still very close in numbers. There's still only a small section. In total, about 7 million people commit crimes out of the 251. No, I'm sorry. Out of the 331 million United States people in the United States. So what I'm getting to, let me get back on me real quick. What I'm getting to with this is that all in all, crime is not that rampant. Like, for it to be so sensationalized in the media, where if it bleeds, it leads type shit, you know what I mean? For it to be so prevalent in the media, they're literally focusing on the 2 to 4% of the population in the United States that commits crime. Now, you can say, well, hey, there's many other things that the news station does that they report on a lot of different events, things that go on at the chamber, or whatever they do, and different little investigative journalism stories, right? Spark up a little bit, but it's easy to say that they do that, but they don't have to focus so heavily on the crime. I would say, yeah, okay, hey, crime is kind of out of hand. We got 20% of the population is going crazy. There's murders left and right, and we're gonna get a little bit more. We're gonna get a little bit more into these numbers, but there's murders left and right. I would say, hey, we got to do something about this. Let's focus on this. Let's check it. Let's let the public know we have a problem on our hand, and keep your eyes peeled. But when you got 2 to 4% of the population that's committing some of the crime, nigga, that's not a problem. That's not a problem. That's a 2 to 3% chance I'm gonna walk out here out of all these motherfuckers and something happened to me. Right? I'm cool with it because I understand that in a society of 331 million people, there are some crazy motherfuckers out there, and there's gonna have to be some crime. There's also some bad situations gonna happen, some love situations, some relationship situations that lead to bad shit, some family disputes, some street disputes, some whatever. There's going to be some kind of crime in this world, especially with there being so much white supremacy and so much control and so much capitalism. Nothing wrong with capitalism, but grossly over, gross greed of, I can't even think of it, but greedy capitalism is a whole nother story and a whole nother monster in itself, and that has caused a lot of issues here within our country. So, I mean, we're gonna jump back to this, but literally, not that many people are committing the crimes. And so when we look at this particular statistic, you can go down here to murders. 4,000 black people commit about 4,100 murders. They say 4,100 murders. They say white people commit about 3,700 murders. I think that's BS. And Tariq was talking about this, about how about how crimes get unreported. And he didn't really have anything to back that up when he was talking about that, because it was a bunch of white supremacists on there talking to him, and they were like, well, how do you explain that, that the statistics that black people commit more murders than white, says that it goes unreported. And they were just like, oh, you're just making that up and you're just saying stuff. And that was the first thing I thought about was this right here, which is the unsolved murders. And we're just talking about unsolved homicides. Now, this is a report from 1965 to 2002. But it gives us an idea of how many murders go unsolved in the United States. And there's thousands of them. Florida got 20,000 right now, in between 1965 and whatever. But at the same time, I just showed you that yearly murders are very low. 4,000, 3,000 that are arrested, on each side. So a 20,000 count of unsolved murders in Florida between all them years says somebody's getting away with murder. Okay. When all these other states, and this is just unsolved murders, 25,000 in Texas. This is just unsolved murders. Rapes, the missing kids. Black people ain't stealing kids. Either way. So let me get back to this over here. So that was one of the arguments that was said about how black people commit more murders, and then Tariq threw in the thing about how a lot of it goes unreported, and unsolved would have been the right thing to say, really, because that's where they throw them in. Well, we can't solve this murder. And then you also got the things that maybe people get arrested for. Well, I don't know if arrested is one thing. So, but looking at this, it's not like those numbers, 4,000 and 3,600, it's not like they're that far from each other. So that's where white folks try to take that statistic and say black people commit more murders than white people per capita. And we commit more murders than them. But one, you also got to think, most black people, we have a large amount of black people in poverty, purposely done through the economic deprivation perpetuated by the white supremacist system. But we have a lot of people in poverty fighting the system, fighting all this other stuff. So you're going to have some issues in the lower economic state of your lower economic population. That it's just going to be, it's just a given, But why are white people doing it? Why are white people doing it? Why are they killing people? You know what I'm saying? We got a little deprivation. We got this and that or whatever. But y'all supposedly, are supposed to be doing great. But y'all still out here killing. And then let's look at the other numbers, because that's just murder numbers. And one thing I will say about the murder numbers, as much as they harp on about murder, as you can tell, it's not like that many murders go on. 4,000 people getting murdered a year, 81 million Americans, right? That's less than 0.00 something percent. I don't know. I don't have my calculator. I ain't got time to do the math. But it's not that many people. But leave it up to them. They make it sensational. They'll sensationalize this 7,000 people a year getting killed, plus the unsolved murders. Let's say 20,000 people a year get killed. Out of 331 million people that's in the United States, that's still very, very, very fucking low. Now, obviously, we don't want any murders. We don't want anybody to be killed. We don't want whatever. But obviously, this is life. Things happen. People go and fly off the handle. Things happen, especially when you got all these guns readily available to people. So it's easy for somebody to be like, fuck it, let me just go ahead and take care of this. So my thing is, they have a lot of people out here scared, and the murders are really low. I mean, less than 0.0000 point whatever percent of the population is even doing. Now, you leave it up to somebody, everybody will tell you, man, you might get killed out here. You better be careful. Nigga, I'm more likely to live to the end of my days than this shit. You know what I'm saying? More likely to goddamn win the lottery, probably. Maybe not. But let's look at a few other numbers that they don't want you to look at in whole numbers. When it comes to rate, they do about 12,000 arrests. We got about 4,4500 arrests. They got about more than twice the arrests than what black people have. So it looks like they can't keep their hands to themselves. But you look at robbery. Now, understandably so, 29,000 people, black Americans, robbed, whereas 25,000 white people robbed. And so what does that show you? Kind of what I was saying is people in economic deprivation. If you're deprived of your economics and moving up in the ladder in your city, you're gonna turn to a life of robbing and stealing, and some of those may end up as murders, unfortunately. So you look at this number and be like, okay, black people rob people look quite a bit more, you know what I mean? But it's not something that's great, but it's understandable. And it's still a low number compared to society. Now, we all know somebody who's been robbed, we've all probably had something stolen from us, you know. So we know that this number is just those who get caught. And even then it's still low. But still, you know, things do happen. Aggravated assault, you know, they got quite a bit more aggravated assaults, 91,000 for us, 169,000 for them, you know, but either way, they still have a whole lot more. Burglary, in fact, which is crazy because, again, economic deprivation, you would think we would be committing more. Or we'd commit a lot of them. And we committed 34,000. We committed more burglaries than we did robberies. But they was real big on the robberies. And you know what that tells me? Because I think burglary is when you take something, whereas robbery is where you take that from them physically. And what that says to me is white folks are bitches. 81,000 of y'all would rather take something when ain't nobody looking. Whereas niggas will run up on you and get you and take it right then and there. We bold. We got robbery numbers. That's what it tells me. You know, you can let me know what it says to you. You know, you can let me know what it says to you, but that's what I'm getting off the numbers. You know what I'm saying? And these motherfuckers is like, look, yeah, well, let me wait till and you know that's what typically happens. They wait till ain't nobody looking because you know they ain't trying to step to nobody. Anyway, larceny and theft. You know they got a lot. 400,000 of them is committing larceny and theft. Now, 178,000 black people are doing that, which is niggas on the job. Yeah, and a lot of that is probably petty shit. You know what I'm saying? Nigga working at J.C. Penney stole some jeans and shit. Been stealing shit for a while and shit. You know, we know niggas we'll definitely do it. White folks, y'all doing it way more than us, twice as much. But people are gonna steal from companies. That's kind of a given. I'm not gonna crucify either one of us. We all getting in there and we all saying, fuck it, let me take a few burgers. You know, it is what it is. Motor vehicle theft, they commit more motor vehicle theft. But if you look at the news, it really does look like, you know, that bay car shit is always finding niggas. But there's 38,000 white folks out there they could have found, if not more. But they always tend to find some of us, boy. And when they run out of us and they need content, then they'll go over there and find them. But it is what it is. You know, arson, we already know they're going to be setting shit on fire. I'm surprised there's any of us on there. There must be some tethers. Violent crime, 209,000. I don't know what that means. Got a lot of property crime, whatever that means. 517,000 versus our 231,000. Other assaults, whatever. So just random stuff. Forgery and counterfeiting. They definitely doing it on major levels more than us. Fraud, they doing more than that. So I mean, when it comes to stealing shit and taking shit, they doing all of it. The main thing they not doing more than us is robbing motherfuckers because they ain't that bold. But they'll embezzle, nigga. They'll do fraud, nigga. A little larceny, a little larceny, a little burglary. You know what I'm saying? A little forgery, a little counterfeit. They'll do all that. You know what I mean? But they ain't gonna run up on you, nigga. They ain't gonna run up on the nigga. Stolen property, they hidden more than the stolen property, you know, vandalism. It's crazy, they vandalizing more shit. But of course, I mean, you know, they feel like they free. You know, they feel like they wild and own the world. So they go weapons carrying, possession, kind of even, which is crazy. You know, there's a lot more white boys out there, like white people out there with guns and shit that they're carrying around. This is that stop and frisk shit. They got niggas on here. Prostitution and commercialized vice. You know, we kind of even on that, and it makes sense. You know, it is what it is. Sex offenses, except rape and prostitution. They definitely committed some sex offenses. Drug abuse violations. We know who be shooting up. You know what I mean? And this is, look, raw numbers. You know what I'm saying? Per capita, I don't give a fuck what you talking about on this. Raw numbers, nigga, 750,000 of y'all get arrested for drug abuse. Okay, 278,000 of us get 74,000 of us get arrested on it too. You know what I'm saying? But y'all 3 times us, damn near. You know, it is what it is. Gambling, numbers pretty small. Offenses against the family and children, 38,000 versus our 16,000. Driving under the influence, 526,000 of y'all niggas. Boy, y'all be out there drunk. And that's just the ones that they take in. There are countless stories that I've even heard of these white boys on the job that used to work with me in the field talking about how they get pulled over, you know, drunk as a skunk and blah, blah, blah. And he just sends you on home and tell, you know, whatever, or they, you know, whatever, or they followed you there or whatever the case may be. And you was back home chilling, no, you know, whatever, you know. So like, man, when they say unreported, when Tariq said unreported murders and unreported cases, or it goes unreported, he just said it goes unreported. That's what they mean. That's what he means. You know, liquor laws, drunkenness, disorderly, vagrancy, offenses. So there should have been one that talked specifically about pedophiles. You know, I'm definitely curious on. I've seen that number before, but I'm not going to go too much further into it. So as you can see, when you look at the raw numbers, when you look at the raw data, the crime is heavily focused toward the white people. They definitely commit, at least what it says here, total crimes, they commit about 4.8 million, 4.7 million, and we commit about 1.8. So they're more than twice us that are committing the crime. And also incarcerated, I couldn't find the total amount of people that were incarcerated by race, but it says right here, as of 2022, 1.2 million are incarcerated. Now that's out of 331 million people, which that tells me we don't really fully have a school to prison pipeline or a mass incarceration issue, but we do at the same time. What I mean by that is, yes, there is targeted, focused efforts in making sure that they can lock up a lot of black people. You know, that's why we're demonized. That's why the schools are underfunded. That's why they invest heavily into the type of music on purpose, anything to kind of influence niggas to go the wrong way. But even as we see here, the wrong way, that was just crime statistics for that year. Now you can say, hey, every year there's 7 million crimes going on, so that kind of compounds up over the years. But some of these people are repeat offenders and other things, and so I still see it as what I meant by there's no school to prison, but there is one, and there was mass incarceration. I don't want to say there wasn't. What I mean by that is incarceration rates ramped way the hell up, and so it is a problem because you don't really need that many people incarcerated if it's a bunch of petty shit, and they're doing it just for like gains for private prison, money, but capitalism. So what I mean by that is when I say it's not a problem, I should say it's not a problem to have it so sensationalized to where everybody thinks that the United States has a complete problem with crime. 1.23 million people locked up out of 331 million people is less than 1% of the society that's being locked up. And again, like I said earlier, there's gonna be some crime, especially I'm surprised it ain't more. All these motherfucking drunks on the street, all these people out here that I be seeing, that to me, it really should be more. But I don't want to say should. I'm glad it's not more, but the way that they portray it seems like there should be more. But it's not a lot. But when you watch the news, it continuously allows people to stay in fear. And fear, as we know, is what's keeping a lot of this society functioning the way it's functioning. A lot of these people move and live off of just straight fear, especially white folks. All them doomsday preppers and shit, and they be having guns and ammo up to the roof, and packing everything like there's just something's really gonna happen, So the main thing I wanted to say, I'm about to get off of this live stream, and I hope everything went straight with it. But the main thing I wanted to say and come on here was about to debunk the whole per capita thing. It is only used in certain situations to try to demonize a certain type of people and skew the numbers from the real raw facts. Again, let me throw this back up here real quick. Again, if there's motherfucking 4.8 million white folks out there committing crime versus 1.8 million black folks, as I travel this United States, I'm more likely to have crime committed to me by a white person, regardless of how more or less of a percentage it is of y'all's total percentage of y'all. It's 4.8 million of y'all moving around this bitch committing crimes. I might get hit up, you know what I mean? Versus the 1.8, I gotta really go find those 1.8, you know what I mean? And that's what I'm getting at. Don't allow them to continue to use this per capita argument as some kind of way to denigrate black folks as far as our culture and say, because that's where they go with it after that. Oh, it's your culture. Your culture, that's what it is, it's a hip hop music and this and that. Hip hop music must not be that fucking bad if only 4,000 people are getting murdered every year by black people. 4,000 out of 50 million black folks? That's not a goddamn problem. That's not saying that if we all listen to motherfucking hip hop, we all gonna figure how many of us are gonna end up killing or shooting or committing a crime. 1.8 million gonna commit a crime. That's a cultural issue. Boy, y'all better get the fuck up out of here with this motherfucking bullshit, man. When you got a whole nother, out of 50 million black folks, you got 2 million of them doing bad. So you got a whole nother 48 million of them living their life, chilling, paying their bills, paying their taxes. But the culture is the problem. That culture is shit. It's causing them to have all these problems and baby mamas and this and that. Shut your stupid ass up. It's your boy Chef Bay.